Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have a very dear friend with me here. Our resident little fluffster is going to be in the building. So I hope that you're all having a great evening. She was very thankful for our little conversation that we had yesterday about and pets and leasing. So I appreciate you coming down and saying hi to all of the viewers on Facebook and on YouTube. I greatly appreciate you. I greatly appreciate all you for your questions. I just answered a few more questions on Instagram. I'm so sorry. No introductions. If you haven't been here before, I am Hugo Quintanilla. I am a local realtor in Maryland, specializing in Montgomery County, Maryland, licensed with Long and Foster, North Potomac, Rockville. This is your show about real estate to learn a little bit more each day, 15 to 20 minutes a day, about real estate and how it can benefit you and those around you. So, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the platform of your choice. My phone number is 240-389-4846. My email is hugo@lnf.com, and my website is yourrealtorhugo.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I really do appreciate all of you and all of the questions that you guys leave me. Today, we're going to be talking about the Tenant's Guide to Tax ID Harmony, navigating the business and residence for a successful lease experience. Tax ID. Can you lease with a tax ID? Long and the short of it, yes, you can. Is it difficult? It can be. Can it be more difficult than leasing with a normal social or normal identification? Possibly. It just really depends on each situation, depends on what you have prepared. So, we're going to dive a little bit into that today. I wanted to just take a brief second and scope out the NAR site to see if there was anything that I think would be worthwhile. There is a really nice stat that has come out. Came out a few days ago. I think we talked about it last week. Existing home sales slid about 1% in December. Um, Apart from that, we're seeing a influx of home sales for new constructions, and we're not seeing a lot in resale homes, but we're seeing a lot in new homes. So today, Jessica um, Louts, the deputy chief economist and vice president of NAR Research, she made this comment. This week, there is a lot of good news in the housing sector. For the sixth consecutive week, mortgage interest rates stayed in the range of 6.6% and are now at 6.69. Home buyers are responding to the lowering of mortgage interest rates and foot traffic, according to Century Lock LLC, a lockbox company, improved, increasing 5% year over year in December. Mortgage mortgage applications are now encouraging Mortgage applications are also encouraging, with applications up 3.7 from a week prior. New home sales also increased. For home buyers, come on, Fluffy. For home buyers shopping for a single family existing home, the median home price was 387,000 in December. The median price for a single family home was 413,200. A buyer a buyer purchasing an existing home with a 20% down payment could have a median monthly mortgage payment of $1,996. A buyer purchasing a new home with a 20% down payment would have a monthly mortgage payment of 2,131. So, sorry about that. Keeping a eye on the numbers is something that you want to do over time. Make sure that you are spending money that you have budgeted for so that you're not overspending. And lastly, she comments, there is no question that 2023 was a rough year in housing, but there are plenty of reasons to see optimism in 2024. Lower rates increase, lower mortgage interest rates will have buyers and sellers reconsidering sitting on the sidelines. Family changes, new jobs, and retirements have happened and will continue to happen, and housing consumers will need to find new locations and homes that fit their lifestyles. And that's more than anything what the lockdown showed us was that our homes were not functioning for us. They weren't working in the way that was the best for us. So, let's move forward with today's little chat and balancing business and home sweet home. Join me today for an insightful session on navigating the unique considerations when leasing with a tax ID, from tax savvy tips to fostering a harmonious living and working space. Let's embark on a journey where business and residence coexist seamlessly. Now, this is a little bit also from a tax professional standpoint. I did a little bit of consulting with tax professionals on what their best practices were. But usually in real estate, where we see tax IDs are with clients that are new to the area or traveling or do not have a permanent residence of status, or either that or don't want the government, quote unquote, to know, or anyone to know for that matter, who is going to be leasing that house. It could be leased under a tax ID for an LLC. Really, a tax ID is a whole nother entity unto itself. So it's like a person. And really, you got to keep that in mind. Tax ID is not just for foreigners, it has a lot of benefits within the scope of American economics. So, number one, verify business use approval. Ensure that your rental property is approved for business or commercial use if you plan to use your tax ID for business purposes. This is again something that I was commenting that you have to be careful about where you're going to be using your tax ID if it is going to be for business purposes. Understand lease agreements. Review the lease agreement carefully to confirm any specific clauses or restrictions related to using the property for business purposes. The last thing you want to do is go into a property and find out that you are going to be monitored about how many people come and go. Actually saw it happen earlier this week. Someone is in a situation now where they have to break a lease because they, quote unquote, have too many people visiting the property, and that is troubling to the landlord. So the foot traffic has really pushed them over at the edge, and they no longer want to do business with the tenant because of it. So that was again something that is a little weird and out of pocket, but it is something that I personally am dealing with at the moment. Separate personal and business expenses. Maintain clear separation between personal and business expenses. Keep accurate records of business related transactions separate from personal finances. This is one of the most important things in business, is to make sure that you're separating business and personal. It's called commingling funds, and you never want to be accused of that in a court of law, because it's a big no-no. You should have all your business stuff in one place for tax purposes and all your personal stuff in another place for tax purposes. Separate home office deductions. If you use part of your rental property as a home office, understand the tax implications and potential deductions associated with a home office. I see this all the time with people that are running offices in their homes. Make sure that you're deducting the square footage, but that you also have a paper trail that shows that you have been paying for it. If you're sharing the space, if it's part of another lease, if it's not even your lease to start out with, don't report it. No, don't even do that. You can have your profile, you can have your ads and all this stuff, but there is no need for you to go and do all of that and make that deduction on taxes that aren't yours. It's just you're going to be causing yourself a headache and potentially an audit. Consult with tax professionals always. Check out either a CPA or a trusted professional that you have that is licensed to do this type of work. Seek advice from a tax professional to understand the tax implications of using your rental property for business purposes. They can guide you on allowable deductions and compliance. This is also to do with the Airbnb crew that's out there. You have to be very knowledgeable on how this property is going to impact your taxes because it is a business and you will be treating it as such. So there will be costs of doing business and expenses, and you will have to deduct those from your margins and your wealth. It's just I don't know how to tell you that it's part of the cost of doing business. So work with your tax professional to make sure that you're on the right side of the law. The last thing you want is Uncle Sam coming in and saying, "Hey, where's my money?" Insurance considerations. Inform your insurance provider if you plan to use part of the property for business. This ensures that you have appropriate coverage for both personal and business related activities. This is actually something that also goes for landlords. Make sure that you have the appropriate insurance for the situation that you are currently in. If you are leasing the property, make sure that you have tenants insurance, that you are letting the insurance company know that there are going to be renters in the property and you need renters insurance that protects them. It's a different type of insurance. It's more expensive, but it's a different type of insurance that covers different things versus a homeowner's policy that will cover yourself and your belongings and your home. The reason the tenant's insurance is more is because of the risk of this being a person that's in the home that's not of ownership. But at the same time, it's ease and peace of mind for you because you are doing the appropriate things per what the insurance company typically asks for. So make sure that you're doing the right thing and declaring if there is a situation change. Okay. Compliance with local zoning laws. This is a huge one. Listen up. Confirm that your business activities comply with local zoning laws. Some areas have specific regulations regarding the types of businesses that can operate from residential properties. Last thing you want is the city or county calling you, asking you why you're running a business outside of your home. If they do a Google search and find you, this could be an issue. There can also be issues on a whole slew of other things if you're not properly documenting your LLC or taking time to report your taxes in the interim. Really document everything, every expense you have, every lunch you do, everything you're doing for your business. Make sure that you're being serious about it. And make sure that if it's an Airbnb, that it's something that is permissible in your area and in that building. Also, make sure that you're complying with local laws because the quickest way to get a home shut down and yourself in trouble and fined is by not meeting the zoning local laws and complying with them. They are written out and are visible for everyone. So please make sure to take your time and do that. Document business activities. This goes back to the earlier point. Keep detailed records of your business activities conducted on the rental property. This documentation can be valuable for tax purposes and compliance. This, again, is something a little bit more geared towards the landlords, making sure that you are keeping documented reports of everything that goes in and out. And I would also suggest any communications that you have with tenants or prospective tenants. That way, you make sure that there's a paper trail and consistency that you can show in any court of law of what happened and why. Obtain necessary permits. If required, obtain a necessary permit or permits license or licenses for your business activities, ensuring that you are operating legally within the jurisdiction. This, I would say, would be something to take into consideration when, for example, conducting a business that produces some sort of edible, some sort of food, some sort of ingestible. I know tons of people that are very talented and very skilled at creating food. And I love their food and I trust their food, but because of the way that regulations and laws are, you cannot run a food kitchen outside of a home. It's just not permissible in most of these counties in Maryland. So you have to be properly licensed and take your time to do the proper licensing. The last thing you want is a pink sauce situation, lady. So you want to take your time, do your research, obtain permits and licenses if you need them. And then lastly, communicate with the landlord. Openly communicate with your landlord about your intention to use the property for business purposes. Address any concerns they may have and ensure transparency throughout the lease term. This is a point I wanted to bring up for people that are going to have trucks or going to have a construction or laboring business where there are a lot of tools or a lot of machinery, a lot of supplies. Make sure that you disclose this when in the process of getting the lease, because you will find that if this is not disclosed early on, you will have a lot more headache and a lot more hassle dealing with a landlord that has all this material in there unexpectedly. Can it get into a point of contention when, hey, telling people about this can get you out of getting the property? Yes, it can, in all honesty. But my suggestion for that is that you look for properties that understand being transparent is never goes out of style. But I would also suggest looking for full houses, because houses are a lot more flexible than townhouses and townhouse communities. So making sure that you are working with a realtor that knows the ins and outs of your local area is a great place to start. So to recap, verify business use approval, understand the lease agreement, separate personal and business expenses, um, apply for home office deductions, consult with a tax professional, ensure considerations. Oh, I'm sorry. Look at insurance considerations, compliance, look at compliance with local zoning laws. Make sure to keep a documented list of business transactions and activities, obtain necessary permits, and communicate clearly and openly with the landlord. By keeping these considerations in mind, tenants with a tax ID can navigate the complexities of using a rental property for business while maintaining compliance and the positive relationship with their landlord. Now, again, I would highly, highly, highly suggest and ask that you use discretion when applying for a property with tax ID. Is just the same as as applying for a property with a social. They will look for credit. So it will be based on the tax ID. It is more difficult for tax IDs to get credit, but once it is established and it begins growing, it can grow just like normal credit. So make sure you take your time to get educated about the credit that your tax ID has, and know that everyone that has a tax ID can apply. Um, if you run into an issue, I believe Montgomery County and Maryland both have applications that they can send to you that you can present. But having a tax ID shouldn't be a limiting factor. Unfortunately, we see situations where a social security or more verifiable source of income are preferred. So it can take more time to process a tax ID and it can be more risky, but do not feel that it is impossible. It is just something that will take more time. And I highly suggest you work with a realtor on. So If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please, as always, leave them in the chat or appropriate platform. I am your realtor, Hugo. My website is yourrealtorhugo.com. My email is hugo@lnf.com. My phone number is 240-389-4846. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Your Live to learn a little bit more about real estate and how it benefits you and those around you. I am your humble host, licensed with Long and Foster in Montgomery County, Maryland. But I can help you out all over the world. So don't hesitate and let me know. I would love to talk to you about real estate. And if you or anyone you know needs help buying, selling, leasing, or investing in real estate, I would love to be your guide. It's always a pleasure. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Have a great evening. Be careful with that mist. Enjoy the full moon. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great evening. Bye bye.